I started off just by sitting my tablet on my music stand and pressing record.
The focus has really been on keeping in touch with people and letting them know that we were still there.
We had no experience of Zoom, like a lot of people in the world, I think, although that has now changed.
It's been an absolute godsend for us.
The film you're about to watch has been produced by the Dementia Inclusive Singing Network at a time when singing together in groups is not possible. It shows how singing groups and choirs from across Scotland have continued to support the inclusion of people living with dementia during the coronavirus pandemic. It offers learning from the past year and practical advice from experienced leaders and organisations in our network. The key areas that the film explores are technical challenges, inclusivity, musical considerations, and the social aspect of singing. The film also celebrates the resilience and flexibility of groups and their leaders in keeping people singing. We really hope that this film inspires you and inspires more choirs, singing groups and their leaders to keep connecting with people living with dementia online or remotely, using singing in whichever way works for their group.
The challenges of remote and online singing groups, in our training, we talk about three sort of broad areas. First of all, sort of technology. So that could be about access to technology. Some people don't have any internet or poor internet access.
What's worked really well for groups has been having a session where people can try out Zoom or whatever platform you're using without the session actually running. So one of our groups ran a Break a Zoom session. So Break Zoom session was come on, be part of a Zoom session and try everything you possibly can to break this platform. So press every button, type everywhere you can see, press everything and see what happens. And it was really just to get people confident to use it so that when they were coming into a singing environment, they had already got comfortable with the technology.
In terms of the musical sort of challenges, I think just understanding the nature and possibilities of online singing delivery.
Probably the second biggest challenge has been the difference between what you can achieve in a room when you're singing with people and what you can achieve in an online space.
There is a lag when you use Zoom, so it's almost impossible for people to sing along together.
And you have to find a different model. You have to look for a different way of doing it.
What we'll do is we'll mute everybody apart from Christine. So Christine will be performing, playing her guitar, singing, and everyone else will just be singing at home. And that's kind of the only solution we've come up with so far.
That challenge then led to some positives, actually, because people didn't feel like they were having to perform. People were able to participate as much as they want to or as little as they want to.
There are some unexpected benefits to delivering some of this stuff online that I think we'll be taking the learning from into the future, when hopefully sooner rather than later that we're able to sing together in a room together. And one of them is just access.
Because we have people that join us from all over the UK.
For people for whom local travel might even be a problem, that's been great. So people not even having to leave the safety of their own home to come and sing together or meet together. That's been brilliant.
I think one of the delights in one of our more kind of Cayley type sessions in the choir that we work with was we created a time when we wanted to share some things together, so share the learning, and we then made an open invitation for friends and family to join us. So actually in that sharing space there were some friends and family from other bits of the world, so relatives in the United States suddenly were in this space together with their loved ones, with people they hadn't seen in person for a very long time, but they could be part of that sharing experience. So actually there's a kind of great benefit from this sort of digital space. There are many downsides, but that is one of them in particular.
Providing that sense of routine, having structure, which can be really important, and also just having something to look forward to, I think, and something that they know that they enjoy doing. Not everyone will feel able to or want to perhaps take part in digitally getting involved in a digital experience. So that can be challenging to get people to engage.
The question I always ask is, how do I make people feel like they are included in this direct experience? And I think that some of the softer bits of your workshop or your structure are where those can be more easily felt and delivered. What I'm talking about is the beginning and the end. So when people are arriving into the room, it's very easy when everyone goes ping, 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 and you've got everyone there to just start. What I think is really important, like you would do at the door welcoming people in as they're physically coming in, is to acknowledge that people are there. And also remember that you are the host, the kind of conduit for everyone's experience. So allowing Bill to know that Mary has joined the room and Mary is just, waving to Bill, making sure that people are connected up. So using those softer social bits of the meeting time that you would do naturally, making sure you've got time to deliver that.
I think what you've got out of it is meeting the new folk and
new people
and making new friends, really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I really like the fact that everybody has the same presence on the screen. Everybody's box is exactly the same size. So there's a real inclusivity there immediately, because we all are taking up the same space. And I think that's actually quite powerful for some people.
So as a workshop leader or a group leader, when you're leading singing activities, you will make eye contact with everybody in a very intuitive way. Now, you can't do that necessarily in the same way when you're looking at digital screens, but you can mimic it in some way. And that's by just using the spotlight function on Zoom. So if I'm the host of this singing session, I can move between everyone's gallery view and a spotlighted version where suddenly I'm the face filling the frame and people are looking at me and taking a very direct experience. So there's less visual information, there's no audio information because everyone's muted, but people now feel like I'm speaking directly to you.
There's a few things that we can do to help people feel more connected on Zoom with the singing, using visual stuff. So like if we're all clapping our hands or, doing something like that, or like a hand jive has been an absolute wonder.
Even when we're in person, is do a bit of what I call the singing ceilidh, which is kind of engaging with people in different ways. So actually getting people to choose songs or come up with ideas or make comments. And so the way that I work online, I just use a lot of different skills online, anything that just comes up my back, really. I might just decide that we'll do a wee show and tell, just because it's a wee bit different, and then what do people have, in the room with them that has meaning for them? So I might do a little bit of that.
During the session, giving people time to say hello to each other, to establish those personal connections, trying not to pack too much into the session. So that does give those people time to not feel that they're being rushed, and that if they want to say something. And quite a few groups I know are using themes for their sessions, finding out what people like to sing about, and there's, people have said that that's been really enjoyable.
Biggest shifts for me is just people being comfortable seeing themselves and being in an online space.
We all know it's important for you to have control of your self-image and to make sure that you're coming across in the best way that you can on screen. Now, once you've done that, I think if you're a participant and you have support to be able to do this, I think it's really useful to encourage people to turn off their own view, so to hide their self-image, which means your face disappears from the room. And what you're experiencing is more like the experience of a physical interaction.
Our song leaders we've been talking to have thought a lot about repertoire and how that needs to be different, and simplified seems to be the thinking.
The songs often are not songs that we've chosen. They're songs that the choir members have actually chosen.
And I think it's interesting if you just get a group of people together and you ask them how they're doing. If that group of people don't really know each other, you're going to get quite limited responses. singing together and having that common purpose and having that moment where, right, we're all going to sing this song together. It's amazing how that just brings out a whole lot, as Alan was suggesting, after the song. People are sharing memories, they're sharing emotions, they're sharing feelings, and they spark off each other, and we go in places that we hadn't ever thought we would. But it's the music that really is the catalyst for doing that. That's really a key point, I think.
If a song means something to you, it makes you think where you were when you first heard that, or what you were doing, or whatever. Yeah.
There's been a bit of a shift in our groups between having real enthusiasm for having a live accompanist to some groups finding another way of doing it. So a live accompanist is wonderful because you get the great interaction from them, you know, the ability to stop and start whenever you want. But actually the sound quality is really hard to get good through Zoom or another meeting. So the sort of tinniness that you get with a live pianist or keyboard player has been putting people off. So we've noticed some groups moving to backing tracks more. You can just get that full band sound that you can play back through your computer, get a really good quality of sound, but also playing choral backing tracks, so people singing with a choral track so that they are singing with other people singing has become really popular, because then when you're singing along, it's not just you in your room and the pianist, which can be very exposing. It's you with a group of people, so you get that feeling of being part of a choir, even if it's just you at home.
You might find you're in a situation where you are playing a pre-recorded track. Maybe it's something that you've made as a group already, or an artist or a song that your group really likes to sing, and you're playing it from your computer and you're also singing along. You might think that you are absolutely in sync with the music, and you probably are. But the information that your computer is sending through your microphone on your computer and also from your music player might very well be coming at different rates, which means what people are hearing is you not singing very well in time. Now, there is a solution to it, and it's quite a simple solution, but it requires a couple of other bits of gear. Now, I use, it's not a very expensive microphone, and it looks like a standard microphone, but it has one special feature. So every microphone will have an output, and the output is going directly to my computer, and that's the sound that you are hearing. This microphone also has an input. So it's a bit like a tiny little mixing desk, but much more simple than that. And this input has a kind of standard plug, and connected to this input is a second device. This is my iPad. So my iPad is the tool that I'm using to play tracks, and it's going through this microphone. Now, the trick with this microphone, why it works so well, is that all of the output signals, and that's the combination of my voice and also the music that you're playing, is coming out of one cable, and it's going into one socket in your computer. And that means if you do it that way, the sound that people are hearing on the other end is a synced sound, rather than something which might be in sync and might not be in sync.
So in terms of pre-recorded and live, from discussions with people, both models seem to be, they can be really successful in keeping people connected.
Doing a lot of pre-recorded videos, and that was just what I started with, knowing that my groups would struggle, or lots of members of my group would struggle to access regular Zoom sessions, whether that's about support that they need to access the technology, or whether it's about energy or medication or whatever. So I got a lot of feedback early on that was working for people. So whilst trying to make those as interactive as possible, I've continued making those, and they're also publicly available. So that's another great thing, isn't it? You know, there's people that aren't necessarily members of the group that can just watch it, and there are people that just have found it and it's a thing that they do every week, and that's great.
The one thing I would say about pre-recorded resources, so of course you can record your whole Zoom session, or you can make a separately filmed edited little chunk that you can edit for people. People can access those materials in their own time when they are feeling at their wellest and at their fittest. And actually that is a very, very useful tool. And of course, if it's pre-recorded and edited well, it's also something that they can revisit. So it's something you can use again, you know, another time in the week if you're feeling up for that, if you're feeling like singing is the thing that you need to do. So revisiting pre-recorded materials can be really, really effective.
I think that looking at the technology that we use can be just as simple as the newsletter, and not to forget that actually, I mean, this is my wee newsletter that I make with the bonny wee flowers and everything. And in that, I'm kind of putting lots of things, mostly just song words, but occasionally little bits of news or something. I think remembering that simple things and very basic things can also be very helpful.
One of the first things we did was a calendar, just a month's calendar, not days, just dates, and a song for each day that they would know without the words. Things like Daisy Daisy and what I can't think, Roll Out the Barrel, just songs that people of that age know and don't need the words for it, so that the carers had something to say, well, what's today's song? And it was just a wee spot, and that would just fill a minute or two, but it was something else we could do to help.
Singing is really good for well-being. So in terms of participants, keeping connected, especially at the moment, is so important. It gives people something to talk about during and after. And if carers are taking part as well, that's a shared experience that they can talk about. And we know from lots of research that music makes people feel good. You know, it can improve mood, provide enjoyment and involvement in that shared experience, even if it is via an online platform. And that can create a sense of belonging, which again, I think we just all need at the moment.
I was struck by actually how important both the singing is to people. I think people recognise that singing made them feel better, as well as reminding them of memories and people and things from the past. And the social community aspect. I think both of those things separately and together are really important to people.
One of the things that's become apparent is how important our communities are to us as individuals and as families. We need these communities around us to help us feel and reflect back on us who we are, our passions, our interests, the things we love to do and the things we love to share. And that space in a shared community, even though it's online, even though it's digital, can be transformative.
If we can offer just one little bit of light once a week, where, you know, there's always laughter, there's always smiles in that group, then, you know, it's doing something right, I would say. So the social contact, I think, is really a really huge part of it. Absolutely.
Overwhelmingly, when we speak to members of singing groups, they tell us that it's the social aspect that brings them back time and time again.
So some of the outcomes aren't just about the direct musical experience. Actually, a lot of the rich outcomes are about feeling like you are connected, feeling like you are part of a journey with other people, and finding a moment to share that in a different space. So it's not all about the loss of that musical things. There are actually things to cherish, and I think that's why it's really important to have a go.
We're just all doing our best, and our best is as much as we can do, and never underestimate the impact that you're having, even if you don't hear it or feel it. I'm sure whatever anybody's doing in terms of choir and singing work, it's all going to touch somebody really, you know, somewhere. So just, yeah, keep going.